for coming here and taking time to sit down and talk with us. And I want to acknowledge that this is all happening thanks to Kara Forum and the beautiful folks over at Kara. I want to thank Ice and Kesha for the opportunity to have this talk with you. And I want to thank you for just being so kind and coming over here.
Well, yeah, thanks from me as well to Kara for opening up the invitation here, and to Isultan invited me over and connected us. So I repeat the thanks to Isultan and Kara and Kesha and everyone. And
so initially this was going to be our talk and my questions regarding my personal interests, but realizing the impact your name has in the industry, and hopefully my channel has a little bit of that too. I would like to pivot this interview a little bit towards the more broad topics, things like money, things like clients, agencies, stuff like that. So last night I've posted a Instagram story asking my followers to drop some questions that interest them. First of all, people are really interested to hear your story. We know that you've started in the music videos and then slowly transitioned into being a commercial director and one of the most influential commercial directors out there. Tell me more about that path.
So I started making music videos, and I talked a little bit about this in Kara. Basically, there was a decision I made after coming out of university where either I had a cold sweat thinking I haven't made anything for half a year since I finished my studies. And I kind of had this sort of freak. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I was working, I was editing, had this kind of editing job, low pay, but great place to earn enough and learn a little bit, at least editing. I got quite good at editing on Avid. I've forgotten it all now. And I decided to make something, and I thought, well, if I do a short film, no one's going to see it. Really, I mean, my friends, my family, but other than that, back then I didn't have a following or anything.
And that was what year?
That was 2009. So I decided to make a music video because I thought, oh, if I do a music video, I make a film, but to music which has a fan base. That was really my interest, was tapping into an existing audience, because I don't want to make a film that no one sees. I want to make things that connect with people, Right. So I have friends in Dunkirk at the time, and they invited me over, and I went to this music festival in Dunkirk, which was amazing. And I met this artist called Otto von Schirach, who makes this crazy music, and he then sent me his music. He said, yeah, of course you can. Because I said, I'll make it without any money. I sent him my student short film, and he said, yeah, of course, go for it. I was like, wow, And then I took 2 of his tracks, put them together. Because I thought, oh, this one's really cool, this one's great, but it's a bit short. Oh, I'll put them together. And then I just made this video without no treatment. I didn't send him anything. I just made the video and then sent it to him, and he loved it and he uploaded it. So yeah, that was kind of the video entry point, and then you naturally end up, that scene. And then my friend Teef, who I've known since I was 11, then I made a video for him. And recently we reconnected video. We've always been friends, but I made a video for him recently which I wrote and produced, but brought on Lee Hardcastle to direct and animate, and that just came out recently. So that was cool. So that was the video path, making one video and then another one, and the budget's increasing tiny bit. And then I was just doing videos, and through that I discovered the world of music video directors and commercial directors. I didn't really know anything about it. At university, no one told. This is the thing with film schools, right? they didn't ever talk about promo news, video
Yeah.
static, music video festivals, or like where to look up short form directors. We were being taught, you know, art house films, which is great, and learning about cameras, which is awesome, but there was no contemporary kind of education. So I was really blind to it all. And then, well, 2011 or so, a video I did got seen, and I started getting content, and it got onto promo news. What was promo news? This Tiny Temper video called "Disappoint You," with a policeman taking MDMA. And that video got onto promo news, and David Knight, I love. He's like just amazing. Like he built promo news. He's done so much for the music video industry, directors. He runs Bug as well, and he also agreed to upload a previous video I'd done, even though it wasn't current. And that got me then contacted. It got me messages from production companies. I was like, oh, there's production companies with director rosters. I had no idea.
And back then you weren't signed, right?
No. I had no idea how it worked. So this is in the my era of like Tiny Temper, Crystal Fighters video. So yeah, that kind of opened up that world. But then I was just doing videos, and none of the production companies I was with were getting me a commercial. None could get me a commercial. It felt like a pipe dream to me. I always wanted to, and I remember I then did occasional like terrible things for money. That sounds bad. Bad commercials for money.
Right, yeah.
And I was content with, you know, I'm never going to get a proper ad. I'll get like once a year, I'll get like a decent payday on a shitty commercial, shitty kind of corporate thing or something, and I'd live off that. You know, I'd get like, I'd literally live off it for a year, like one job.
Wow.
That's how I had very cheap rent. So in London, I paid £250 a month, including bills, and my space was bigger. My room was bigger than your studio.
Dang.
But it was disgusting. It was an old bank with 15 people living in there, in different rooms, and they just put in like two electric powered showers. So it was kind of like a squat, but you paid. It was weird, but amazing. I loved it at the time. I wouldn't live there now. But so that's kind of, you know, hustling.
And what was your day rate
I had
back then?
you know, when I was doing music videos, I was doing videography. I was doing I'd shoot wedding videos, which is the worst job I ever had. I'd wash dishes in my mate's restaurant. I I worked in a cinema, you know, so I was just like kept time rich, I think was the key thing. Is the most important thing, advice I always give people. Better than earning money, like working Monday to Friday and earning good money. It's way better to be having just enough money, but being time rich, to be working your craft and your ideas, you know? So, yeah. And then a German company sent me a German commercial, Anorak. And I pitched, and the company I was with at the time were like, you know, you'll never get that. But yeah, I mean, of course you can go and pitch this German commercial. And then I got it. It was like winning the lottery. It felt like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you know, 4 shoot days, 4 director pay days. And I was like, that's it. Like, I can't fucking believe it. I was like, you know,
Unreal.
I still remember the feeling.
Okay.
At first, like, you know, it's transformative. I can now not worry about any, you know, so yeah. Well, I got that first commercial with Anorak, and then they sent me another board, right? The job came out, it looked great. Then I got another one in straight away, and I wrote on that, and I won. Yeah. And Christiana of Anorak, she told me, like, your writing is so good, and like she gave me so much like confidence in what I could do, you know. And previous companies are always like, belief is so important, it's such a fucking cliche, you know. But previous companies I'd been at, you know, it's like, no, it takes a long time to get into ads. Yeah, you know, like they keep you down. Like they don't mean to. It's not like a conspiracy, but she really like, she was like, your writing is really great, it's special. Like you should keep writing. Like so, I write all my own treatments still to this day, unless it's physically impossible, you know. So I wrote this treatment, I got the job. And then a third one came in, and I wrote on that, and I got the job. And I was like, wait, I've got 3 ads in 3 months, or a bit over 3 months. And so then I just thought, wow, if I keep going at this pace, even if I get 50% of the hit rate, I've just done 3 out of 3. I'm on 100% hit rate. If I keep going at this, and even if it goes down to 50% hit rate, within 3 years or just over 3 years, I believe I can get a show reel that will be on the same level as the current busy name commercial directors. And I'm not talking about like legends like Fincher, Glazer, or you know like that. I just mean like in that time the busy like these are the guys. We spoke a bit about it, but it was kind of like an extreme sport in a way. I was just went like, because then I was like, right, if I just go really hard and do this, I can solidify my name in the commercial world and protect my financial outlook for life and have freedom and control on my choices that I make and not be at the behest of whatever, you know, that's really what it was about. And because I was seeing directors come and go in commercials, there were people that would come up, they do it, and then they were like trendy, and then they wouldn't be, and then they wouldn't get that much more. They fizzle out. People would take a break for too long, and they wouldn't. No one would call them again. Someone would go off and focus on their art for a bit, and then come back to no one being interested. People that were doing ads, but then left, didn't win anything for a year, and then they just can't ever get back on. And that really felt, it was real to me because I was seeing it with people I knew. So I was just like, I don't want that to happen. So I just went crazy.
Right.
And that's why that period that I was doing like 11, 15 ads a year was that. And everyone, I would tell myself everything had to go on the reel. The next one had to be better or different from the one before. I was always I want to be uncomfortable every time and do something new. And like, I loved it and enjoyed it, you know?
So that you understand the perspective that me and my audience is coming from is basically beginner directors who want to break into the industry. Would that make sense for them to start looking into running their own companies, or does it make sense for them to have a phase in their life when they are either freelance directors or directors signed with a production company, but just like focusing on directing rather than being an entrepreneur running a company? You know what I mean?
Sure.
What would you say?
It completely
makes sense?
depends on the head that you have for business, for producing, because it's entrepreneurial, but it's also producing. So I've always been very involved in every part of the process. So I, over all those years, have understood, have an instinct for, and have got experience of seeing producers, working with producers, and then kind of making decisions on projects. So if you have a head for that, great. The other thing is it depends on what territory you're in. So I wouldn't recommend a new director starting a company in the UK or the US. But I say that, but why not? I mean, I wouldn't, that's just me. Like no one should follow my advice. So I want to say that for the whole interview. Everything I'm saying is my opinion, and it's only my opinion. In my opinion, I wouldn't say it. You should start your own company, but it depends. Like, is that company you should do it. If you've got a producer partner and someone else who wants to do something with you, and you create a little company, but you don't have to. You don't have to start. What I mean is, it depends what the company is. If you're trying to start a company to compete with a big commercials company in a territory of lots of commercial companies, you're going to have a tough time. But if you're starting a company that's doing creative projects and you can get some extra margin on the production budgets and you can get it direct instead of being at a company, some companies might not even take those projects because it doesn't even make sense for them budget-wise. Yeah. So you can start a smaller thing that actually benefits from it. But it also depends where you are. Like, there's companies that don't have production companies with a roster. So I think here in Kazakhstan, I don't know, there's not like lots of production companies with rosters. Like,
Yeah.
not loads.
Yeah, and I think I would say for a lot of the directors here in this region, it doesn't really make sense to go with the sole, just one production company and just be on their roster, like exclusively. And a lot of the people like us, we are just like make sure that we have a good network and we know all the other productions that potentially might bring us work. And on that note, my next question is about the exclusivity. Do you think that for directors out there, especially for the young ones, does it make sense to get signed right away when the opportunity comes knocking, or maybe it makes sense for just to be a freelance director for a little bit, build some experience, and maybe then get better offers?
So if you're freelance and you're just doing lots of projects already and a company offers to sign you, yeah, I guess you should think about the benefits of signing versus not. You should ask that company, why should I sign? In a nice way.
Yeah.
Great. I would love to know, what I'm already doing these projects. If I join, what can you bring or what can you do,
Yeah, like, was it going to change for me in my career?
Yeah. But freelance directors you don't tend to have access to true commercial projects in the UK, in Spain, in USA, Germany. Germany's a bit different. Germany, there's a lot of directors who don't sign and they get hired by different production companies. So if you're already working with these companies that have a roster and one of them is asking you to join exclusively, then you have to question why. If you're just doing projects down around here that aren't being done by those companies, then being signed allows you to get this level of projects access to that level. So in that scenario, I would say there could be the benefit, right? But then maybe you want to make sure you're still doing these ones, and this company might not do them because the profit isn't great, or so those are all things you should think about, I guess. But the main bit of advice is don't stop hustling not hustle is not the right word, but don't stop your drive of doing shoots and doing project after project, because you shouldn't just sign somewhere and then like.
Exactly, that's a good point. Because like I've met a lot of directors who are, and me myself, even my case was like couple of years ago, I was first signed in my life with a production company abroad, and I thought I was like, this is it, it was done. It's viewfinder.de, it's from Germany, and I thought like this is it, like done deal, can relax. But well, it didn't work out, and like once I understood that getting signed doesn't really change that much, at least your process doesn't change all that much, like it doesn't mean that you're set for life, right? And that's a good point. Like I really like you mentioned it, because I think that's something that we all have to be striving for, no matter signed or not signed, you just keep doing your thing, right? Like you've seen both sides of the business, right? You are now an established director who has worked with a lot of different production companies, and you are running your own. Like, what does it take for a director who is looking to get signed with a major production company, what does it take for them to be even considered?
Every company is different, you know. With Progco, with Zico, we don't sign. There's probably options of directors that we could have signed which would instantly generate a lot of profit for us. They're already billing, or they're already kind of established, but weirdly that's what we don't want to do. So, you know, the beginning of Progco was always, I don't know, my interest was always the directors that I was like, why isn't this person here? Why isn't that person doing that job? It doesn't make sense. That's the birth of Progco. So we've kept that. You know, of course there'll be, you know, there could be someone that comes on who's like, it doesn't matter that they're already billing and they just got that special thing that we love. Like, we would of course look at it, right? We'd consider that, but we don't look at it as profitability. There's no director on the books that we see. They do great work, but they're going to make money. It's always, this person is a genius and they should be doing this, and for some reason people aren't seeing it or no one knows who they are. And that's really the interesting thing for Progco, or for us. That's what we do. Then there'll be other companies that will look at it a bit differently. Like, okay, they've got the potential to become profitable, or they're already profitable. That will definitely, you know, there's definitely companies signing directors out there that are doing it because they make a lot of money, and that's the primary reason they sign them. Yeah. Even though the work might not be like super special, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
But like in general, what are the crucial bits? Like, you have to do a certain amount of like gigs, or have certain amount of brands on your portfolio,
No,
or
not.
it doesn't matter, right?
No. I mean,
what is it?
There is
Is that
no
the vision?
Well, the important thing is there's no formula of how to get signed, or what do production companies look for in a director. In a way, a director shouldn't even be thinking about that. A director should be entirely focused on making good work, on developing their work, on creating work that speaks to them, that comes from them. That's the focus a director should have, in my opinion. It should not be, you can have an eye towards being signed, of course. Like, okay, this might help it a bit. Oh, if I do this, it could help a bit. But it should be like 5% of your thinking should be that. The rest should be full energy on the next project, getting that project out, getting that project seen, making something that's like hasn't been done, or trying something new. That's, you know, I got contacted from the work going out there. I've contacted directors whose work I've seen. I've never been sent at something by a director saying, hey, I would like to join Progco, this is my work, and then I've signed them, or we've signed them. And that's not to say that we wouldn't, but it, you know, 99.9% of the directors at companies who get signed are signed because they've been contacted. They're not sending a mail with all their work and these are all the brands I've worked with and these are my 10 pieces. And, you know, it's very rare. It's the energy should be on making great work.
Being a director, right?
Keep pushing it, keep developing.
Basically.
And
Makes a lot
the
of sense.
thing that I would always look for, me personally, is a voice, a true voice that you can feel. You watch it and you can feel them. You watch another piece of their work and you go, oh, I can see this voice in the work. That's the key thing. If I see work which is, I'm not as interested in seeing work that's very well crafted but doesn't have something that's like a voice between it all is of
Right.
less interest to me.
That's a brilliant point. I really appreciate your saying that. And that coming from you it makes a lot of sense. For a lot of the directors, it's not, the win rate isn't like 10 out of 10. It's usually like around 50, 40%. Like we lose more than we win. And that's, I guess, the norm. And whenever there's a seasonality of work and whenever there's not enough work that we're winning, it always feels bad. It always feels like it hurts the ego. Like, why isn't this market interested in us as directors? And do you have any advice for the directors out there to cope with that and find meaning otherwise? Maybe not in the commercial work, but like some ways to, rejuvenate, go to banyas or
Sure.
something like that.
Sure. So yeah, now my win rate is quite good.
Yeah.
But when I was in the music video world, I don't even know where the treatments are. Like, I remember a treatment, like, fuck, I should archive it. I was really bad at keeping an archive, but man, I've done so many music video treatments. I mean, it's probably like one in 15 I would win. It's really low. 1 in 10 on a good day. It was tough. But as Oscar was talking about, right, Hudson on his chat, it's like you keep all those ideas. You have to view writing a treatment in a positive way, even if you're not going to win it. You're writing. All my writing experience, most of it comes from treatments. I'm writing scripts out, I'm writing an intro, I'm trying to keep it personal, I'm trying to develop my voice in a treatment. And now I go into writing a script for a feature, I've got writing experience. It's helped me, if I read my old treatments, they're way less effective. My writing is better due to this process. So view it as a forced writing class. You're writing with no guarantee of winning a job, but you're getting the experience of writing, which is why you shouldn't write bullshit. You shouldn't write, hey, I'm really interested in this project. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I believe this idea can excel.
Love the
whatever.
brief.
This kind of ChatGPT,
Yeah.
you could just use that now.
Right.
So it's important that you write from the heart and it's like interesting and you start talk. Like I'll sometimes write in my introduction, I'll tell a little story, about, I've done a Waitrose pitch and I told them about a conversation I had with my mum because my mum loves Waitrose. It's this British supermarket brand. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about in my treatment. And I'm writing it in an interesting way and it's fun and it's like you're weaving a bit of interest and that's writing.
Yeah, you want to sound like a real human, like
Yeah.
someone reading this treatment is talking directly to you, with you.
Yeah.
Right.
So and then lastly, I just say that so the thing to do and cope. So firstly, writing treatments is writing experience, which is just only a good thing to be writing. Then the other thing to cope with is that nothing's stopping you from shooting. Like, yeah, sorry, Nike isn't knocking on your door and asking you, here's a bunch of money. That's not stopping you from filming something. That's not stopping you from writing a short film. That's not stopping you from, and yeah, like short films are expensive, but I've made my first music video cost me £50. Like there's always a way. Yeah. Like my short film, I did a short film. It's like, that was like expensive to me at the time. That was like I spent a whole £1,000 on that one. But it looks. I'm happy with it now. I'd screen it now.
Yeah.
I've shot now. If I was back then, if I had the tech now, but back then, I'd be shooting all the time. I'd be using my phone.
Right.
I'd make some raw thing. I mean, I shot the Kanye West video that didn't get released. That's all shot on an iPhone.
Yeah, the mysterious canned music video. Yeah,
So, you should be shooting. You should be
exactly.
writing.
Love
There's
it.
nothing stopping you. So if you feel sad with all these brands not giving you money, you could just go shoot,
I mean, Ian, it's incredible. That's the best piece of advice that I've received. It's a cliche thing to talk about, right? A lot of the directors say that, but it's the understanding and application of that wisdom is the key. I mean, I think doing your personal project is just the best thing you can do. On my own channel, on my YouTube channel, this one, I sometimes suggest directors should go out there and maybe if they really want to get into the commercial directing game, they should probably go out there and make their own spec commercials. So I would really like to hear your opinion on spec commercials. Does it make sense for a director, for a beginner director, to build up a portfolio to make a spec commercial for a brand, or does it make more sense to do a short film or a music video instead? What do you think?
In my personal opinion, which everyone can disregard,
right?
I don't believe that you should spend time and money and energy on a spec commercial. If you're going to do that, make something with a reason. Commercials are already a slightly soulless art form, right? It's corporate propaganda using snippets of an art soul shell. For you to then go out and make a spec commercial, you've got double empty dead soul process. I can't imagine the feeling of filming a fake commercial for a fake brand to look up to the potential of maybe doing a commercial for a brand. Personally, I think it's a destructive way of getting there and succeeding. I don't think it's something that I wouldn't recommend it because commercials are already such a delicate space where you can get disconnected from your spirit. You're making corporate propaganda. Like, commercials are great. I'm so grateful to them. It's given me everything. It's given me my connections to my crew. It's given me like freedom creatively because I'm not dependent on financially. I can pay for scripts to be pay my script writer instead of asking him for a favor. I'll pay him his rate that he should get. I can buy the rights to a book. I'm so grateful for it, but it's corporate propaganda. It's a side quest. It's not. I don't believe it should be the place that you're driving towards. Filmmakers should drive towards film or short film or art in whatever form, whether it's feature length or short, and commercials are a side quest that really help you out on the way. But putting that much energy and time into like the spec thing, personally, I don't believe it. And I've seen amazing spec ads, but they always feel like weird. It feels strange to me. And a lot of them are from Germany. German film students doing like 3 years of, like a whole year of like, and they come up with amazing ideas. And that's a fast track. I'm sure a lot of them then get signed, but then who is the company signing? They're signing a kind of well-formed shell with a small birth of a soul that's growing inside it. That's still got to grow, but it's made this beautiful, crafted shell, commercial shell around it. But inside is a very new voice that still needs to grow. And really, that's the voice that you should develop and push and keep getting stronger. And then when you go and do a commercial, you're not thinking about what's my style. You know what you do. You know where you put the camera. You know like how you want the sound. You've got ideas of things you want to try because things you've lost on other projects you know how to do now.
Yeah.
So there is an alternative, and that is making a political film, a charity film, come up with a crazy concept and back engineer it to something, then you can really be free. Then you can make something quite dark or really inappropriate that would never fit a commercial. I could write a horror short, a horror, really horrific, crazy, dark idea that's 30 seconds, and then find a charity or an NGO or a political group, right? Like I could make a dystopian sci-fi idea for 30 seconds and link it to Reclaim the Net or WikiLeaks, or give them this gift to them and give something back to society in terms of there's something important, you know, and it looks like it's a commercial. It's a it looks like you've made something to express an idea for a corporation or a charity or a political group or an NGO.
I love that.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a ton of sense.
Because then you're making something that you care about, you know? Like, let's say you really care about, whatever it is, you can make something that you care about. And that's going to inspire you. I get a lot of questions like, where do you find your inspiration? Like my short film is about lockdowns, because it just came from my shock and depression and disbelief that the globe accepted lockdowns as a health policy when it was the most harmful mass policy ever to have been put into law. Like it was crazy to me, and that I channeled that into I've got to make something about this. So then you're going to create magic. That's where you know. Whereas if you create a spec, it's superficial filmmaking on top of superficial filmmaking. It's hollow. There's nothing there, you know.
Which I think sums up the point of getting signed too early, I think, in your career. Because for you, it happened with the music videos first. And so you had the chance to develop your voice, style, your own personality, grow as a person first, and then go into the commercials already being established as a human, as a person, as somebody who has beliefs and views on the world, right? And a lot of the young directors, they want to break into the commercial industry, not really having a voice or something to say. And like, I've noticed time and time again, like agencies are saying no to these ideas, and they're like already putting the boundaries here and there. And so they don't really get the chance to hone, I guess, their voices in the commercials if they get signed too early, or if they actually focus too much on the commercials. And I think for a lot of the young filmmakers, it really, really makes a whole bunch of sense to just go out there and make their own shorts and personal projects, not even slapping logos on those.
Sure.
Just shorts.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I mean, you could get, but if you could get signed to a company that's supporting the things that you're doing on the side, or you could say, you could also say to them, look, I don't want to get publicly signed right now because I haven't got that much work. Let's do a project together and then launch with it. And I'm not going to go do it with other companies. There's different ways to approach it for sure, but it's easy for me to, everything you just said, I completely agree with, right? I benefited from my path, but that's my path. That just happened. I didn't design it. Yeah. So that's the thing I would say is also, you can't design your path. I can look back at my path and go, oh, that was good. Yeah. That was useful. Oh, that was perfect. I didn't do ads too early. I developed but it wasn't from design. It just happened. So there's, you can look at that and think, well, Ian did that, and that's useful, and that's great if that can give some make some ideas happen or decisions for people. Great, but you have to remember that you can't design your whole path either. You can use that path that other people have had as ideas, but there's people that get signed from one music video, and then they carry on being prolific and doing well. But that's why it's on you. It's not on the company. Whether you sign early, you sign late, it's just always on you.
It's just about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think. It's just taking risks and owning those, right, decisions. Yeah.
Instinct, like listening to
That's
your gut,
important.
is real. Your gut is it's not. It's a strange thing. It's a kind of a spiritual thing to listen to. Truth is inside. It's something that's in you're somewhere down there. You know, they always say, you go to therapy, you're not going to get the answers. You end up finding the answers from yourself. So, listen to your
Yeah,
like
yeah, guys,
along.
stick it out. It's all
Listen to
gonna
your
work
gut.
out. It's all gonna work out. Couple more questions. Man, this could go forever. Couple more questions. I really want to take this back to your process. I think a process is super important, and I think a lot of the people don't really understand because they don't have this network. They don't get access to talk to you or some other established directors. They don't know what it takes for a person to write a treatment or pitch it. And I used to think that, well, maybe some of these established directors, they just, delegate everything, writing, design, pitching, everything, the calls. But like, as it turns out, it's not the case for you, right? You write your own stuff. Do you design your own stuff? How does it work?
No, God, no, I don't design. No, I used to.
Yeah.
So my music video days, I would have to make my own treatments. Then I joined a company. I joined Pulse Films, and what was really cool there was like they even on a music video that was a really low budget, they had a whole treatment department that designed the treatments. So that was amazing. But so music videos I did. Then I didn't when I was just a brief period at Pulse, and then I left and well, I they wasn't working and whatever. Anyway, the commercials I don't do any design. No, I'm lucky. I have worked with
But the
amazing
writing is
designers,
all
but
on
the
you, right?
writing I
Yeah.
do, yeah. Unless it's physically impossible for me to do it, like I can't find a window of time to do it, and I love the project. Then I'll write the intro and I'll write the script. If I have even more limited time, I'll still write the intro and I'll write the beats of action of the script at the very least, at a bare minimum. And that's like rare. For the most part, I write everything.
So
Yeah.
you've already figured out people that you like to work with, or does
For
it like,
design,
no, for the copywriters
yeah,
when it's necessary?
there's a few copywriters.
Okay, okay, okay. So they totally understand your language, your
Yeah, and I've
way of
also
speaking.
once worked with my friend Hunter, who's the screenwriter.
Yeah.
He's written the two features which we're trying to get made. I work with him on those, and I've done one treatment with him. I paid him to write the script for the treatment because it was meant to be really. It was like the Uber one I did.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
co-wrote that script. So I thought, why not? When you're writing, you could look for treatment writers, but why not look at film, a screenwriter?
What if you don't really like? So say whenever you are in the middle of the flight and you have to make the treatment done by tomorrow or whatever, and it's like, and you get the text back and you don't really like the way it sounds or flows, or it doesn't sound like you, like how do you communicate the notes?
Well,
Does that happen at all?
yeah, like it's happened when I've asked something to be less flowery.
Yeah.
I don't like writing that's really righty.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But yeah, sometimes something goes in, you're like, yeah, you have to send it in. But yeah,
Just being honest, right?
yeah, always be honest.
Cool. Cool. There was a lot of questions about your VFX style. I mean, like you've spoken about this on the other podcast with Jared Hogan and Christian
Shout
Schultz.
out to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
them. I remember you mentioned that it's just another tool. And did anything change since then? Like, do you have you changed your approach when going into VFX and CGI? Like whenever you're writing and pitching something, do you go really in depth into like describing all these things that you want to accomplish as a VFX, or
No,
it's just part of the story, right?
Sometimes I'll talk about the VFX process required for the project. So there's a very little time on the project, but through a lot of experience with doing heavy VFX projects, I've got ideas of how to achieve the VFX in the limited time. So then I will talk about that because I'm trying to win the job.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, sounds crazy, but we can do it because we're going to do this, and I'll explain how.
This will make it time efficient, cost efficient.
I'll
right?
immediately do the animatic and to previs the scenes that have heavy VFX. We'll pre-build ahead of the shoot. I'll then shoot the live action plate according to the previs so that thing can be created ahead of, whatever. I'm just going to make stuff up right now. But yeah, so that will help a bit. But yeah.
But then apart from the treatment, do you have any other additional notes for the VFX team, for like anything else? Any other departments that aren't designed to be read by the agency people?
I guess
are more for your team.
I guess I just don't see from the outside. Yeah, it looks like, oh, look, there's VFX in lots of these projects. He is into VFX, but it's just what I'm into is the film that you see. That's the film I wanted to make. How do I do it? Okay, I'm gonna have to use VFX for this bit and that bit and that bit. It's like saying, not this isn't to criticize the question, but just to reframe it. It's kind of, you could also say, oh, this person is really into live action cinematography. Because look, all of the work is shot through a camera with real people. Yeah. That could be a conversation that we have in 5 years with AI on set. But ultimately it's a choice. But that's a terrible example I've just given. I guess what I'm saying is like VFX is always there anyway, whether it's editing or it's as light as there being 2D comp work or deletion and cleanup. That's VFX. So I guess VFX just allows you to create images in a limitless way. It allows you to create any image you want. And I guess I have a lot of ideas which don't exist in the real world. They're not things that you see that I can capture in a camera. So I have to create them, and VFX is the tool with which to do it. And that, but in turn, has allowed me to see the limits of VFX and the potential of VFX. It means now, having done so many jobs with VFX, I know, there'll be certain things I don't need to ask a VFX company about. I know it can be done, and I know what material I need to shoot. I'll have ideas. The cool thing about VFX, and this is a lot what I learned from time-based arts, which was like the true first, like, kind of just genius VFX team that I worked with, and they were generous in bringing me on the journey of the VFX. So I saw what they did with what I shot. They would always joke around with Steve-O, who was on the first job I did, and that he hurts their profit margin because you go to them and you want VFX, and then Steve-O has an idea of how to achieve it in camera. But they all do. They all push for the in camera because it's always better to get it in.
It's going to make their job easier ultimately. Right?
You've got a live action reference, or it's made up of various live action plates, or you're shooting something purely for reference. So that was really interesting. And then you have ideas of actual creative ideas which utilize these things you've learned. So it's a whole another space that you use. I don't sit on Flame. I've got no idea how to use Flame. I've got no idea how to use Houdini. I've got no, but work with amazing people that do, and I've learned kind of, yeah. So it's kind of, that's how the VFX thing has happened. It's just step by step ideas that need it, and then I learn more and I do more. Yeah.
All right. So you've mentioned that you were working on, or I don't know, what's the better way to put it? Are you transitioning into being a feature film director, or are you just working currently on some of your own passion projects in parallel with what you're doing in commercials?
No, I'm desperately trying to make my first film, and I've been trying to do it for, since before the pandemic. I had projects I was developing. There's scripts I've started and stopped, and now there's a very viable film which I'm working on, which is uh, probably will be the first one I do. I don't want to say when, because there's an interview where I'm saying I'm going to be doing some other film that I had at the time, and I thought that was going to be first. So I'll avoid saying what they are or where or when or anything. But yeah, there's one that's feeling more viable. There's me and Hunter are meeting this weekend in Japan, and we're going to write I'll be with him. We're doing this. We've done the story together, but he's the writer, and we're doing the next version of this script. So it'll be the third draft, where we're changing quite a lot of stuff, and then we'll see. We'll see where we land with that. So it's just, it's just takes time.
That's amazing. Just last night, I was going through your website, and I've counted 95 projects that are up online. I don't know if you know that, but
I didn't know the number. That's amazing.
yeah. And a couple of days ago, we just discussed, and you mentioned that your favorite one of them is Diamond's Producer Association ad, and I really loved the tone. It's a little different from most of the spots you've done, and like every time I was imagining you going into the features world, I was thinking, well, if that's going to be the language that he is going to be operating with in the feature world, it's going to be mind-blowing. But am I correct? Is that the direction you're taking, or is it going to be more like some of the crazier ads that you've done with other brands?
Yeah, so there won't be a decision on the style before the script is done.
Okay.
It's always going to come from the script, from the idea. I won't go anything, right, I'm going to be more considered and less dynamic. Like, it depends on the scene, and I have no idea.
Because you can do both, right?
Yeah, I've got no idea what it'll be. Whatever I feel the language of it, whatever camera language I feel suits the thing I'm trying to do, the idea, the story, But yeah, for sure, it's an interesting one to think about. I mean, there's another idea that I know is going to be completely insane kind of camera craft, because the idea is totally fucked up, and like,
Okay, I can't wait to
black,
see that.
dark.
All right.
But that's going to be a bit further down the line. So that, I think that'll end up. I'd love to, end up down the line where you just don't know. Like, the film will, who knows? Right now, I haven't even made a film. Who knows what will happen? Could walk out here and get hit by a bus.
Yeah. And again, it's back to the idea of being comfortable with being uncomfortable again. But yeah, man, loved it. I can't wait to see your feature films. I think that's going to be absolutely mind-blowing for everybody in this industry. And I hope that one day we'll get to sit like this and talk about it more. Thanks for, coming here and while taking this, what was that, like an hour to sit down and talk with me. It was amazing. I hope this was very helpful for you guys. And yeah, man, I wish you.
My pleasure and my thanks, really.
Yeah.
Here in your home. So I've been
let's
had a wonderful
thank
welcome here.
the Kara crew once
Definitely.
again. Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank
yeah, giving us this chance to organize
huge
this.
props and love to Isultan
The
and
forum
the Kara
was
crew.
mind-blowing. It
Been
was
amazing.
insane.
Like, it's been mind-blowing trip in Kazakhstan.
Hope you liked
Everyone
it.
needs to come.
Hope you liked it. Yeah.
Likewise.
Thank you, man.
Bye, brother.
Thank you, man.